I? Mothering. You know, it's the very, very, very first thing we experience. In the womb, first thing out of the womb, good, bad, indifferent, we get it. Every human being, all beings, experience something called mothering. And most of us have no idea how. Remember, those of you who have attempted to be involved with children's growing up, when you realize, what do I do next? I really have no idea. I started taking care of other people's kids when I was 7, and the baby was born, and I'm going, ah! when it was my own. You know, my prayer was, dear God, don't let me ruin her. Yeah. Mothering. It is an art, it is a science, it is a whole way of being, and it really is being. It's not what we do, is it? It's how we are. And, as most of you are aware, I accept Jung's notion that we are both masculine and feminine, yes? And we all have mothering in us, as well as various forms of the masculine in us, whether we are male or female in body. We all have all of those qualities. So what I would like to invite you to do is take that little card that was in your thing and write a name on the back of it. If you didn't get one, I have some extras. Write a name on the back of the card, male, female, the person that you think of by the name that you call that person as being the one who provided you the most full, complete mothering. And it might have been just for a year, or it might have been for a lifetime. The person by the name that you call them. Did one or two of you put a man's name down? Yeah. Yeah. For many of us, we got more mothering from a man in our life than we did from the person who bore us. Did one of you put a grandparent? Yeah. An auntie or a cousin? Someone at school, a teacher, a particular teacher or a counselor? Yeah. Mothering is not about bearing children. That's an interesting process, but it's got very little to do with mothering. So what I'd like you to do next is put one word that is not loving, okay, that describes what it was that person was for you that was so mothering. Not loving. It's not that they were loving you, but there was something, some way they were with you. They accepted you, they understood you, they supported you, they encouraged you. There's thousands of words we can use besides love. That is the reason they are so important to you. That person is so important to you. Again, it doesn't matter if it fits anybody else's idea of what mothering is. Would anyone like to share either the person or the word? Yes, ma'am.
I had a school teacher for my first 8 years.
Yeah. We got sound. A school teacher for your first 8 years. Wow. Lots of encouragement and recognition and acceptance, and that's why you could do all the wonderful things you did. That's beautiful. Thank you. Others? Yes, Kathy?
Hey, Ruth. It's so good to see you.
It's been a decade almost.
Yeah, she used to be one of our ministers in Grants Pass. So know each other well. My father died a couple of years ago, and my mother, actually, he died, I mean, like last year. I mean, it's just, I'm still in shock.
Yeah.
And it was such a blessing to have him with me for so long, because my mother died when I was 24. And I had been closer to him than to her even before that, although you know, she was a wonderful blessing as well. And very, very much more attentive in many ways than he was. But the word nurturing came.
Nurturing, yes. Yes. Mothering is nurturing. Thank you. Jeff?
His name was Dan. He was a therapist for a couple of years and accepting.
Yeah. If we haven't experienced acceptance, the person that does that just brings us to life. Thank you. Jennifer?
My mother was so inspirational and so full of joy for me.
Inspiring, joyful. Lovely.
My dad had a practical nurse at his office. She had a third-grade education. She was about 4'10" and built like a little tank, and she was very, very black. And her name was Lucy, and I put dedication.
Dedication. Oh, thank you. Beautiful. Jim?
And my mother taught me compassion, which was a real good gift to have.
By being compassionate?
Being compassionate, she modeled that behavior and instilled in my siblings and I compassion for others.
Thank you. Tress?
Well, my mom gave me the love of music.
Obviously.
Yeah. And she did it in such a unique way. She was such a wise mom that instead of nagging me to practice, she would play for me and I would see, oh, that's what I want to be. I wanted to be able to do that. So that was her gift. She was just amazing in that way.
It's amazing how being something teaches us far more than trying to teach us it, huh? Yeah. I saw something over here. Yes, Dave?
Well, my mom, Carol, she died when I was pretty young, 20. But her model was, for me, was that she listened. And this was a counterpoint to my father.
Listening. Listening. What a gift when someone really listens to us. And if we're getting that growing up, wow. Kat?
Well, my mom, if I have to say one thing, it was always dedication. She gave every single thing she had, giving up just everything, just to be there for my sister and I at all times. And even today, it's dedication to support. So I think that's very important.
Thank you, Kat. Yes.
To my nanny, and she taught me a lot of strength and perseverance, which in her later years I went back to look after her as she went on with Alzheimer's, and to watch her slip away, but knowing that she had given me that strength, and watch her right to the end have that strength and belief.
Ooh, being it again. Thank you. That's beautiful. And next to you, yes.
My mother taught me how to give and how to take good care of other people.
Ooh, giving and caring for. I hope she also taught you to refill the pitcher. You can only give when your pitcher is full. Yes. Yes.
It's kind of weird, maybe.
I got it.
My mother, when I left her, she was taller than me. When I came back, she was maybe 6 feet.
But shorter.
But I never could understand. Well, maybe I do, but she sent us to Holland right after the revolution in Indonesia. And I was always wondering, is that duty that she did? Because she is really for duty.
Dutiful.
Or was it love, or was it, I don't know. But when I saw her back when I was 31, that's all the years I haven't seen her back, but was right back together again. You know, I took her right away to Hawaii with my little boy. Just the three of us, you know. but she was always doing this.
She was very religious.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that doing what was needed for your well-being.
Yeah, and that is later on in life, because when we are young, you don't think about it. You say, why did she do that? Why did she do that? I want to
Right.
do that.
Yeah.
But it takes years to understand.
Oh, often, right? How many of us only began to understand our parents when we were parents? Right? Or when we finally got into therapy in our 30s and 40s. I used to have a friend who said, well, I'm doing the best I can. He'll see his therapist and he'll make it all better. All right, I saw another hand. John?
Yeah, I would say encouragement.
Ooh.
That was a very loving thing, and probably more in retrospect, as you just alluded to, than it was at the moment. But that's a very loving thing, and when I see other people encourage, that's a big loving thing.
Marvelous, thank you. Thank you, and thank you for sharing him with us both. All right, so, loving is nice, but it, has so many different shades, and people can love us in ways that are not all that helpful, right? They can love us with strings attached, that doesn't work very well, and so on. So when these other experiences become clear in our awareness, then we become more and more aware that we are always able to, ready to mother any being. And more than that, we can begin to realize that mothering is happening all the time to us and for us on this planet. Now the word mother is the English version of the German Mutter, which is from the Latin mater, which is the basis for material, matter, and matrix. Same word. So everything material emerges from the matrix that is the Mother Earth. Every single thing is provided every instant of every day. All the air that we breathe, the water that we drink, the clothes that we wear, the cars that we drive, it's all provided by the Mother Earth. And in Bolivia, they finally acknowledge this. Have you heard? They've passed the Mother Earth law, Tierra Madre, and it declares the rights of Mother Earth. It is very powerful. She has the right not to be contaminated. She has the right to have clear rivers flowing through her. Marvelous, marvelous work. Go online, Bolivia Mother Earth Law. It is just marvelous. You can go to all different sites and find it. Oh my goodness, our mother has rights. That's very hard for a child to understand, when we're kids. Rights, Mom? No, she's there for me. Right? That's part of growing up, is to realize that every being has rights, and that our Mother, the Earth, is constantly nurturing us, constantly supporting us, constantly supplying us, constantly, making her total self available to us. My goodness. Now, some of us grew up without a sense of being mothered. For whatever reason, our parents just were not able to do that. And it was tough. And most of us who went through that found some experience. It might have been a teacher or a counselor. Or it might have been an experience of the mothering of this earth. Or it might have been a spiritual experience. You can't see her back here, but when I was finally accepting that the woman who bore me was never going to mother me, I was 30-something, this woman showed up in my visions and said, I'm here for you. And she has been there as the woman that I could go to when I needed mothering. Every time literally, all I have to do is close my eyes and say, yes, I'm ready. And then over time, she morphed. And I was amazed because this drawing was given me, this card was given me very soon after she morphed into this. Isn't this interesting? So this is the classic Queen of the World that has been adopted by the Christian tradition as Mary, Mother of Jesus, right? This is the classic. And then this is the image that began to show up in all of the visions, starting at Lourdes, Fatima, all right, and a number of other visions, right? And she is much more cross-racial, shall we say? Much more global in her awareness. And she has become not the mother that I go to when I need comforting, but the companion who encourages and supplies and supports me on my way. All I have to do is go in, and she's there. Wow. And I'm not the first one to have that experience, I know. But that's why these are considered divine beings, because they're available to all of us all the time in any way. Whether we have that visual experience, or a friend of mine, she doesn't see anyone, she just relaxes into the mother's arms when she needs to feel cared for. She just breathes and allows the mother to hold and rock her. And let her know she is cared for and supported every minute of every day, in every situation. There is a book down in front of the altar here, so maybe you can see the picture. You're more than welcome to come up later and look. It's a set of about 100 images of the Buddhist Tara, the Tibetan Buddhist version of Tara. And Tara is for the children who grow up in the lamaseries, the little boys who are cared for by those very loving, nurturing lamas. Tara is the feminine presence. And for the Dalai Lama, who grew up in a lamasery, he was taken from his mother when he was 4. And after that, she could come and visit him on state occasions. But it was the lamas who raised him. And every day, part of his meditation is to focus on an image of Tara and to feel the seed syllable in her heart and in his heart merging. And ultimately to feel the merger of Tara into his being every day. He also does that with the Buddha, Shakyamuni, the Buddha. To allow ourselves to experience the mother presence as part of us, not just something we can relax into, not just a presence we can talk to and share with, but actually as part of us is the next stage, the next phase in our being. The mother expressing herself through us, as us, in us, around us. And what begins to happen as we do that is the world begins to shift a little bit. What was hard-edged and challenging begins to be softer and more supporting. And this is part of why the Dalai Lama can look at what's happened to his country and his people and know that all that is trying to happen here is good and love and welcome. That's hard. Yeah. He was chased from his motherland at 16. Lost many, many people he cared about. But connecting with the Divine Mother every day, feeling her being alive in him, through him, and as him, has been part of the process for allowing a different kind of world. And he has said that this different kind of world that is emerging around us as we sit here, as we go through our days, that this is happening in large part because women around the world, and particularly Western trained women, are waking up to the mother just as able to do whatever a guy does, and most of us can, some of us can, but we don't have the muscles. You know, there's times you gotta call a guy. But more than that, we don't want necessarily to be dealing with life in the way that a man is required to deal with life. We all want to have both the masculine and the feminine. We don't want to give up being women to be men. We don't want men to give up being men to be women. Thank you very much, stay men. I appreciate it a lot. Like your manliness. And recognize we need both. In us, through us, as us, around us, all the time. And in that, the world does become what it was intended to be. In the book of Revelation, it says we're coming to a time when there is a new heaven and a new earth. And the Course in Miracles says that means the old heaven, the division between heaven and earth is being dissolved. And the new heaven on earth is what is emerging. It's the division that is being dissolved. The yin and the yang are coming together. The masculine and feminine are coming together. And so I want to honor the mother in every one of you, in every being on this planet. In the mother that is surrounding us and infusing us and encouraging us and supporting us and dedicated to us and loving us in all these wonderful ways. Yes. Giving us exactly what we need for our best, happiest, most full and complete life. And so I'd like to invite you to bring your cards up to this table and to take one of these flowers with you. And I'm going to read something while you do that, and then I'm going to start a chant, and if you would like to join me in that chant, you are more than welcome. So let's start with the first row. What I'm going to read you is the oldest written statement. Thank you. Marvelous. The oldest written statement by the Mother Goddess. Go for it. Just put them on the table. I am nature, the universal mother, mistress of all elements, primordial child of time, sovereign of all things spiritual, queen of the dead, queen also of the immortals, the single manifestation of all gods and goddesses that are. My nod governs the shining heights of heaven, the wholesome sea breezes, the lamentable silences of the world below. Though I am worshipped in many aspects and known by countless names and propitiated with all manner of different rites, yet the whole round earth venerates and expresses me. Oh, Mother, Mother, Mother of all. Oh, Mother, Mother, Mother of all things. Oh, Mother, Mother, Mother of all things. Oh, Mother, Mother, Mother of all things. Oh, Mother, Mother, your balance is with us. Oh, Mother, Mother, your balance is with us. Oh, Mother, Mother, Mother of all things. Oh, Mother, Mother, Mother of all things. Oh, Mother, Mother, Mother of all things. Oh, Mother, Mother, your peace is with us. Oh, Mother, Mother, your peace is with us. Mother, your love is with us. Oh, Mother, Mother, Mother of all things. Oh,